program is rated GE. Content carried in here is suitable for general family viewing.
Good afternoon, my dear students. Welcome to KU TV Elimu Live. My name is Teacher Kelvin Fudi Wanyabura from Kaboi Girls High School. I'm going to take you through a very interesting subject, that is mathematics. And as you know, before we start our lesson, we start it with a word of prayer. Father, in the name of Jesus Christ, we worship you and we give you glory for this lesson. As we begin the lesson, may you guide us and give the students the knowledge and wisdom that comes from you. In Jesus' name we pray and believe. Amen. So today we are going to learn a very interesting topic, that is quadratic graphs. Quadratic and cubic graphs. Quadratic and cubic graphs. The subject is mathematics. Subject is mathematics. My dear student, whenever you see a question on graph, this is the simplest question that saves you and gives you a lot of marks. So we are going to do several examples on the quadratic and cubic graphs. Quadratic graphs begins with x squared, while cubic graphs begins with x cubed. So we are going to do several examples on quadratic and cubic graphs, and I believe that you have your graph book there at home, your pencil, and also your ruler. So let us have an example of how a question on quadratic and cubic graphs is asked. So we're going to write this example. Question 1, that is example 1. Complete the table below. Complete the table below for the equation. Y is equals to 2x cubed plus 5x squared minus x minus 6. So you are going to complete the table. We have the table there. The table has the values of x. The values of x are ranging from -4. We have -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2. And then now we'll have this equation from here. 2x cubed vertically, moving vertically, 5x squared, -x and -6. Then we'll use those values to get the values of y. So we are told to complete the table. There are those values that you are already given. Let us see them. We have -128 there, -54, we have 0, we have 2, we have 16. Then whatever else you are given is 80, 45, 20, 5, 0, 5, 20. These are some of the values that you are given. Then we have 4, 3, 0, -1. And then you are told to complete the table. That is the first question. We are told to complete the table below for the equation 2x cubed plus 5x squared minus x minus 6. And the table has the values of x and we have the values of y. But for us to get the values of y, we must use this equation. And the equation is written vertically as 2x cubed, 5x squared, and negative x. So how do we complete the table? We'll take, now the values that you are not given, you'll take negative 2 as x, 2x cubed. So in your calculator, that I believe you have it, you'll have 2, that is what you'll type in your calculator, into bracket, negative 2 cubed. 2 into bracket x, which is negative 2 cubed. So negative 2 cubed is negative 8. So we'll have 2 times negative 8, and this will give us negative 16. Again, back in your calculator, where we have x, remember, we are filling using 2x cubed. 2, when x is negative 1, negative 1 cubed. So we'll have negative 1 cubed, which is negative 1, multiplied by 2 to give us negative 2. That is negative 2. Then we move on to other values that are not yet filled. We have this box here, negative x. Negative x is negative times the value of x, which is negative 4 in our case. Negative times negative 4 is positive 4, because we know that a negative multiplied by negative is positive. The same here, negative times negative 3 will give us positive 3. Negative times negative 2 will give us positive 2. Negative times negative 1 will give us positive 1. Negative times positive 2 will give us negative 2. Negative times positive 2 will give us negative 2. That is how we fill in the table. How? We take the values. You take your calculator, you fix in your calculator 2 into bracket the value of x given, then cubed. But you must close the bracket when cubing, like this, 2 negative 1 cubed, to fill in that table. The same as this, 5x, when x is negative 4, negative 4 squared, 5, negative 4 into bracket. I'm insisting that you should write it into bracket, because if you square negative when not in bracket, then you are going to get a negative value. And we know very well that negative times negative, or negative squared, it is positive. That's why you must place it in bracket to make sure that you get a positive value. 5 times negative 4 squared will give us 80. It will give us 80. Then there is a value here, negative 6, that has no x. There's a value there, negative 6, that has no x. The value that has no x, you'll fix it as it is. Negative 6, everywhere negative 6, negative 6, negative 6, negative 6, negative 6, and negative 6, and negative 6. So we have the values that have x. With the values that have x, you'll fix where there is x with the value of x given. But our negative 6 here has no x. That's why we have written it as negative 6 in all the columns. Now, what do we do to get the values of y? We will add all these values. Don't add the values of x. Don't add the values of x there. You'll add all these values from 2x cubed. You'll take negative 128. I know you have your calculator. Let me use mine. So you'll take negative 128. Let me open the calculator. Plus 80 plus 4 plus negative 6. I believe that you have your calculator and you are doing it. My calculator is opening. Don't worry. Yeah. Now, negative 128 plus 80 plus 80 plus 4 plus 4 plus negative 6 plus negative 6. You use your calculator, you'll get the value of x as negative 50. Of y, sorry. The value of y as negative 50. We move on to the next one. Remember, you are not adding the values of x. You start from negative 54. Negative 54 plus 45 plus 45 plus 3 plus 3 plus negative 6 plus negative 6. It will give us negative 12. Then we move on to the next one. Negative 16 plus 20 plus 20 plus 2 plus 2 plus negative 6 plus negative 6. It will give us 0. Then negative 2 plus 5 plus 1 plus negative 6 plus negative 6. It will give us negative 2. Then 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus negative 6 is negative 6. 2 plus 5, 7. 7 plus negative 1, negative 6. Negative 6 plus negative 6, negative 12. Negative 12. 16 plus 20, 36. 36 plus negative 2, 34. 34 plus negative 6, it will give us 28. And that is how you get the values of y from the given equation and the values of x that you are given in a certain range. Now, after getting the values of y, which is the question part A, let us move on to question part B. Question part B is saying, on the grid provided, you have your graph book, which is the grid provided. On the grid provided, draw the graph of y is equals to 2x cubed plus 5x squared minus x minus 6 for the values of x ranging from negative 4 to 2. For the values of x ranging from negative 4 to 2. So now you have already filled in the table using the equation given and gotten the values of y. So you are going to plot the graph using the values of x that we have and the values of y that we have. So we are going to plot the graph. Now, something else that is very important is when plotting your graph, you must choose a suitable scale. Look at the values of y in this particular graph. The values of y are negative 50 to 28. The highest negative value of y is negative 50. The highest positive value of y is 28. So you must be very keen when choosing the scale that you are going to use. So we are going to plot this graph as shown below. You have now your graph book, your pencil, and you have your ruler. So we'll have the y-axis. You use your ruler. My hand is accurate, but you use your ruler. So we have the y-axis and we have the x-axis. We have the y-axis and we have the x-axis and we have 0. This is called a Cartesian plane. Now, we must choose a suitable scale for the values of y. We cannot use 1, 2, 3, 4 because the graph will not be enough to plot. We can use a scale of 1 centimeter to represent 5 units. So we'll have 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. The highest positive value is positive 28. Then we'll have on the negative side, negative 5, negative 10, negative 15, negative 20, negative 25, negative 30, negative 35, negative 40, negative 45, negative 50. So, what kind of a scale are we using? We are using a scale of 1 centimeter to represent 5 units. 1 centimeter to represent 5 units. So, 1 centimeter to represent 5 units. And then you can use a scale of 1 centimeter to represent 1 unit on the x-axis, because the values of x are ranging from negative 4 to 2. So we can say 1, 2, 3, 4. Negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5. And here we have 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Now, you can use your values of x and the values of y that you got in your table to plot your graph. When x is negative 4, what is y? Negative 4, negative 50. Negative 4, that is x. Negative 50 is down here. When x is negative 3, y is negative 12. Negative 3, negative 12. Negative 3, negative 12. Now we have 1 centimeter to represent 5 units. So negative 3, negative 12 will be after 10. You count 2 small boxes. After negative 10, you count 2 small boxes. That is where it is. Then we have negative 2, 0. When x is negative 2, y is 0. That is negative 2, 0. Then we have negative 1, negative 2. Negative 1 is here. Y is negative 2. And negative 2, you will count 2 small boxes. Negative 2 is there. Then we have 0, negative 6. 0, negative 6. This is where negative 5 is. So after negative 5, you will count 1 small box. 1 small box. Negative 6 is there. 1, negative 12. When x is 1, y is negative 12. After negative 10, you'll count 2 small boxes. That is, if your one big box has 5 small boxes. But if your one big box has 10 small boxes, then you'll count 4 small boxes. Then we have 2, 28. When x is 2, y is 28. 28, after 25, you'll count 3 small boxes. 25, 26, 27, 28 is there. Then you join your point. Do not use a ruler to join your point. Do not use a ruler. Make sure that your curve is going to be a smooth curve. Your curve must be smooth. This is how you join your points. Like my curve is a very smooth curve. Make sure that your curve is a smooth curve, because and if your curve is not smooth, then you must confirm your values. Negative 4, negative 50, negative 4, negative 50, negative 3, negative 12, negative 3, negative 12, negative 2, 0, negative 1, negative 2, 0, negative 6, 1, negative 12, and 2, positive 28. Your graph must be smooth, because the marks awarded in a graph are, we have P1, that is 1 mark for plotting. We have S1, 1 mark for the good scale, the scale that you have chosen. And C1 is 1 mark for a smooth curve. Then for you to get the mark of a smooth curve, you must label your graph. Label your graph as y is equals to 2x cubed plus 5x squared minus x minus 6. That is our curve. That was question part B, plotting the graph of the equation given. Plotting the graph of equation given. Alright, let us move on to question part C. Question part C, we can now erase the table. It's no longer important, but the graph is very, very, very important. So we are going to question part C. Question part C. The question part C is reading as this. Use the graph, part C. Part C. Use the graph to solve the equation. Use the graph to solve the equation. Y. Use the graph to solve the equation. Y is equal, use the graph to solve the equation. 2x cubed plus 5x squared minus x minus 6 is equal to 0. That is Roman 1. Roman 2, you are using the graph to solve the equation. 2x cubed plus 5x squared minus x minus 4 is equals to 0. And Roman 3, we are using the graph to solve 2x cubed plus 5x squared minus 2x minus 6 is equals to 0. That question is very important to understand it, that you are using the graph that you have plotted to solve those equations. How do we use the graph to solve the equation? We have the equation given. The equation of the graph is y is equals to 2x cubed plus 5x squared minus x minus 6. That is the equation of the graph. And you are using the graph that you drew using this equation to solve this equation. Therefore, you will take the equation of the graph and subtract the equation that you are required to solve. And the equation that you are required to solve is 0 is equals to 0. You start with 0. 0 is equals to 2x cubed plus 5x squared minus x minus 6. So you'll take the equation of the graph and subtract the equation that you are solving. Y minus 0 is y. Y minus 0 is y. 2x cubed minus 2x cubed is 0. 5x squared minus 5x squared is 0. I know you are responding back at home. Negative x minus negative x is 0. Negative 6 minus negative 6 is 0. So my dear student, the value of y is equals to 0. Y is equals to 0. Now, I repeat, we are using the graph whose equation is y is equals to 2x cubed plus 5x squared minus x minus 6 to solve the equation 2x cubed plus 5x squared minus x minus 6. You subtract the equation you are solving from the equation of the graph. When you subtract, you have gotten that your value of y is 0. So you'll go back to your graph, my dear student. You'll go back to your graph. The x-axis is the line y is equals to 0. So you come and write y is equals to 0 on your x-axis. You come and write y is equals to 0 on your x-axis. X-axis is the line y is equals to 0. So after getting that your value of y is equals to 0, you'll come to your x-axis and write on that line y is equals to 0. Then now you read, you must get three values of x. So let us adjust our graph. You know, I'm not using a graph book, but make sure you'll have your graph to give you three values. Yeah, the graph should flow like that. So you'll come to your y is equals to 0, and where the graph touches the line y is equals to 0, which is the x-axis, you read those values of x. Mine are -2, so you'll come and write x is equals to -2, comma, another value of x is mine is -1.2, -1.2, and another value of x is around 1.2. You must get accurate value because you have a graph book. So the values of x where the graph touches the line y is equals to 0, which is the x-axis, are -2, -1.2, and +1.2. Now, Roman 2, you are still using the graph. You can continue sending your questions. You can continue sending your comments. And the lesson is there, live on YouTube. So you can watch it from the link. Now, we are going to solve this equation using the graph. Again, take the equation of the graph. Y is equals to 2x cubed plus 5x squared minus x minus 6. You subtract the equation you are solving, minus. And I have said you start from 0. 0 is equals to 2x cubed plus 5x squared minus x minus 4. Sorry, the question here was minus 4, not minus 6. Minus 4. 2x cubed plus 5x squared minus x minus 4. You are using the graph whose equation is this one to solve this other equation. So you take the equation of the graph y is equals to 2x cubed plus 5x squared minus x minus 6. You subtract the equation that you are solving. 0 is equals to 2x cubed plus 5x minus x minus 4. Let us subtract together. Y minus 0 is y. 2x cubed minus 2x cubed is 0. 5x squared minus 5x squared is 0. Negative x minus negative x is 0 because it's negative x minus negative x. Negative times negative is positive. So negative x plus x is 0. Negative 6 minus negative 4. Negative 6 minus negative 4. Negative 6 minus negative 4 will be negative 6 plus 4. Negative 6 plus 4. It will give us negative 2. So our y is equals to negative 2. Our y, in this case, y is equals to negative 2. I'm still checking your questions, your comments, and as you receive the link. So you have gotten your value of y is equals to negative 2. When you get your value as negative 2, my dear student, go back to your graph. Go back to your graph. Negative 2. Y is equals to negative 2. Y is equals to negative 2. So in your graph, go to the y-axis. This is the y-axis. In your y-axis, check where we have negative 2. In your y-axis, check where we have negative 2. So this is negative 5. 5 small boxes, which is one big box is negative 5. So our negative 2, you'll count 1 small box, 2 small box. Using your ruler, draw a line, horizontal. Draw a horizontal line that must touch the line y is equals to negative 2. On that horizontal line that you have drawn using your ruler, write y is equals to negative 2. Write y is equals to negative 2. Then read the values of x where the graph touches the line. Read the values of x. 1, 2, 3. Read 3 values of x where the graph touches the line y is equals to negative 2. So our values of x will be, let me read mine. It meets the y is equals to negative 2 here. So mine is negative 2.5. Negative 2.5. Another point where the line y is equals to negative 2 touches the graph is here. Mine is a negative 0.9. Negative 0.9. And again, we have another point where the line y is equals to negative 2 touches the graph is here. X is equals to 1.2. That is my graph. Remember again, this is not a graph board, and therefore my values might differ from your values because you are using an accurate graph book. So that is how you solve question Roman 2. Question Roman 2. My dear student, we got to the next Roman 3. Again, the concept is, this is negative 4. This is negative 4. The concept is, take the equation of the graph. Take the equation of the graph. Y is equals to 2x cubed plus 5x squared minus x minus 6. Take the equation of the graph, subtract the equation you are solving, and you start from 0. 0 is equal to 2x cubed plus 5x squared minus 2x minus 4. My dear student, check on this question very well. This is the part of the question that carries a good percentile. That means it is the most important point of the question. You must understand it very well. Now, y minus 0 is y is equals to 2x cubed minus 2x cubed is 0. 5x squared minus 5x squared is 0. Negative x minus negative 2x. Negative 1x minus negative 2x. Negative 1x minus negative 2x, it will give us positive x. So negative 1 plus 2. Negative 1 plus 2 is positive 1x. So 1x. Negative 6 minus negative 4. Negative 6 minus negative 6 minus negative 4. Negative 6 minus minus will be plus. Negative 6 plus 4, it is equals to, I know you are responding back at home, it is equals to what? Yes, that is right. It is equals to negative 2. So y is equals to x minus 2. Now, my dear student, let me review that. You have taken the equation of the graph minus the equation you are solving. After subtracting, you have gotten another small linear equation. That is y. You have gotten y is equals to x minus 2. What do you do from there? Come up with a small table. Come up with a small table. The table has the values of x and y. You have gotten another linear equation. Y is equals to x minus 2. Come up with a small table with the values of x and y. On the values of x, just come up with 3 values of x. And those values must be within the range of -4 and +2. So we can come up with a value like -1, 0, and 1. Use the equation y is equals to x minus 2 to get the values of y. When x is -1, y will be equals to -1 minus 2. -1 minus 2 is -3. I hope you have understood. When x is 0, y is equals to 0 minus 2. 0 minus 2 is -2. When x is 1, y will be 1 minus 2. 1 minus 2 is, yes, I can see you responding back at home. 1 minus 2 is -1. Now, use these values of x and y back to your graph and plot them. It will give you a straight line. -1, -3. -1, -3. It's there. -1, -3. Plot that point. 0, -2. 0, -2 is somewhere here. And 1, -1. And 0, -2. And 1, -1. So 0, -2 somewhere here. Then 1, -1 is somewhere there. So you'll plot the point that you have gotten, and it will give you a straight line. Use your ruler to join the 3 points. Use your ruler to join the 3 points. So use your ruler. Don't draw like me. My hands are accurate. So make sure that you use your ruler back at home and in school where you are watching from. Make sure that you are using your ruler. This line that you have drawn, make sure you label the line as y is equal to x minus 2. Make sure that you label the line as y is equal to x minus 2. Then read the values of x where the graph intersect with the line y is equals to x minus 2. The first one is here. Mine is -3. X is equals to -3. Another one is here, -0.5. And another one is here, positive 1.3. But your values might differ because you are having a graph book. So what I'm saying is that you draw a straight line. Label that straight line as y is equals to x minus 2. Where that straight line meets the curve that you drew, read the values of x, and that will be the solution of that question. All right. Now, that is how you do questions on a graph that is quadratic and cubic graphs. Because of time, I'm going to give you a question that you are going to try on your own back at home and in the school where you are watching from. So, I believe, my dear student, you have understood all the steps. Test yourself with this question, and I believe it will go well with you. So write the question as I read it. Write the question as I read it. Complete the table below. Complete the table below for y is equals to x cubed plus 4x squared minus 5x minus 5. And this is the table. We have the values of x and we have the values of y. And the x are ranging from -5, -4, -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2. And some of the values are filled in, like we have 19 there, and we have -5 there. That is question number A. Complete the table for this graph. Before I write question number B, I want to illustrate something here. My dear student, if you are given a graph like that and you're told to complete the table, you don't have to draw the table like the one we had in the first question we did. Just come to your equation. We want to let me get for you the value of y when x is -5, and then you use the same step for the other questions, for the other values. You go to your equation, write it, type it in your calculator as this. Y is equals to, when x is -5, write -5 cubed plus 4. This is how you type in your calculator. -5 cubed in bracket plus 4, another bracket, -5 squared minus 5, another bracket, -5 minus 5. So you don't have to draw the other big table if it was not drawn for you in the exam. Just go direct to your equation. And in your calculator, where we have x, substitute respectively with the value of x given. Let us see the value that we're going to get in that. -5, use your calculator. So into bracket, -5 cubed, -5 cubed plus 4, -5 cubed, -5 squared, -5 squared, minus 5, -5 minus 5. My value is -5, so you'll come and write it as -5. So you don't have to draw the other table that we had if the question does not give that table. So let us write part B of the question. Part B of the question. On the grid provided, draw the graph of, y is equals to x cubed plus 4x squared minus 5x minus 5. On the grid provided, draw the graph of that equation. Part C of the question. Use the graph to solve the equation. Part C. Use the graph to solve the equation. Roman 1. Use the graph to solve the equation. Roman 1. X cubed plus 4x squared minus 5x minus 5 is equals to 0. Roman 2. X cubed plus 4x squared minus 5x minus 8 is equals to 0. And Roman 3, x cubed plus 4x squared, minus 5x minus 5x minus 5 is equals to negative 4x minus 1. You are using the graph to solve those equations. You are using the graph to solve those equations. So that is all about quadratic and cubic graphs. It is a question that carries 10 marks, 10 free marks. If you understand all these concepts that we have learned, there is nothing different that is going to come along your way. And therefore, yes, I can say the lesson is great. Thank you, Duta from Kamboi. That is good. I hope that you have understood. Make sure that you try that question so that you do more practice. All right, Asanta Sana. I thank God for the far that we have gone. Thank you for the lesson. My dear student, in case I have some books that I've written, I was not able to carry them, but in the previous lesson I had them. Never give up, and with God all is well. Also have Boosting Mathematics Performance, a mathematics revision book. In case you'd like to get that book, or even you'd like to send the solution for the question, you can contact me or send it through the WhatsApp number 0705 845 747 0705 845 747. I take this opportunity as I conclude. I take this opportunity to wish all the candidates in Kenya, all the Form 4 candidates in Kenya, all the best in your KCSE examination as you continue working hard. My students in Kaboi Girls High School, I wish you all the best, and may God bless all of you for listening to me and watching this lesson. Thank you for the lesson. My name is Teacher Kelvin Fudi Wanyabura from Kaboi Girls High School. All right. Never forget to pray before you do anything. God bless you.